Get them fired up and get them to the staging lanes, baby, because 8th Mile Apparel is now carrying Going Bracket Racing merch. Hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and much more can be yours today by visiting 8thmileapparel.com. We appreciate each and every one of you guys supporting the Going Bracket Racing YouTube and Facebook pages.
What's up, everybody? Casey and George back with another episode of the Going Bracket Racing Live podcast, March 18th, 2025, episode 188 of the Going Bracket Racing Live podcast, which is always brought to you for free by the fine people at TSR Racing Products. They got Power Glides, Turbo 350s, 400, 727 transmission parts, accessories, full transmissions, anything you need over there. Call TSR up. BRG 3D printed parts was sending people over there the other day for some of those custom parts that Brian Garrett makes over there at BRG 3D printed parts. Hit him up, any kind of specialty items, anything you can't find somewhere else, he can custom make them for you, and it won't make your race car any heavier. Syntex Printing out there in Temple, Texas, just got some new, I guess you would call them competition logos. We don't have the ability to pay you for them yet, but maybe one day we will. Syntex Printing out there in Temple, Texas for your shirts, stickers, brochures, etc. Driven Racing Oil, use that code GBR10, get yourself 10% off. They got gear oil, they got transmission fluid, they got motor oil. Get some oil for your truck while you're at it. Get some oil for your generator. Get all those petroleum products from Driven Racing Oil, and most importantly, use the code GBR10 to get yourself 10% off your entire order. Proform Parts, visit proformparts.com for your shop tools, carburetors, starters, alternators, radiators, accessories, all kinds of stuff. They got everything you would ever want over there at proformparts.com. Crew Chief Pro software, get that new racing engine lined out. If you need a little help with that dial in this time of year, the weather's maybe cold, maybe hot, maybe you got something brand new to you don't know what's going on anymore. Well, Don Higgins already got you figured out over there. CrewChiefPro.com. Get you a copy of that. And, of course, Gearhead Solutions. I made 3 orders in 3 days over there to Trevor at Gearhead Solutions. And all I got to say is anything. Well, first of all, he tells me, man, you could save a lot of money on shipping if you would just order all your stuff at once rather than ordering it 3 times. But great customer service over there at Gearhead Solutions. Access to over 1,000 vendors. Anything you could ever want, he can find it for you. GearheadSolutions.com. And of course, if you want some of these fine shirts, go to, where are we going? 8thmileapparel.com. Get you some of those shirts. I got some hats too. I got some of those hats for sale. Come find me at the racetrack. We'll be at, I think, Farmington next weekend, and we'll be at the PDRA at Galat the weekend after. I got a whole box of them. If you guys want to buy them out, we'll get you some more and give me an idea of what kind of colors, things like that you want. Got a whole box of them in the back of the truck, so come and find me. Other than that, George, what's going on at your place, man?
Yeah, man, nice weather. That's all I got. Definitely loving what I see outside. The weather report for the weekend's looking really, really good, which is good. Itching pretty bad there, man, and can't wait to get out there and start my season off like I'm sure most everybody has done or is about to do. I need to join that group of people. I'm ready to go. Mo's almost there. Special shout out to 5D Speed Shop out there in Greenville, Illinois, my hometown. I've known Jim. I don't know how many years, or known of Jim, I should say. He's known of me since probably before I was born. Let's put it that way. Him and Malcolm have been really good friends for a really long time, and old Jim does great work. Thanks for getting my intake taken care of at such short notice, kind of getting me in there, getting me out of there pretty quick. I must say, I really like the layout of that place. If you're having a good day because you're dropping off a part that you're just going to be upgrading, getting something done to for the hot rod, that's a good thing. Well, if you step out of that place and a little bit to your left and you want to celebrate the fact that you're about to get something done to your hot rod, man, they got high octane in there for consumption of the adult body. So, grab you a bush latte before you run on up out of there at the bar, and just give a good old thanks to the people up there at the shop. So, big time shout out 5D Speed Shop. You guys need any work done in that Central Illinois, Midwest Illinois, Chicago, St. Louis, Texas? I don't care where you're from. Go there with confidence, knowing that Jim will take care of you, Jim and crew. So, Casey, man, yeah, that's what's going on in Georgia's neck of the wood. I'll be heading out to Texas Motorplex for a couple days, and it'll be my first time on that racing facility, of course. But I've been there a number of times now. Looking forward to getting some racing in. About it, man.
Yeah, no more behind the camera, being actually on the track for once. That'll be interesting.
I'll take it, man. My practice tree is right there, and I've been thumbing on it a little bit, trying to get myself ready. The car's quite a bit different, man. Fuel injection, as you all know, it's all in there. Speaking of, we might as well go here right now, Casey, man. For all of us, including myself, who had originally, not anymore, not for several years, but thought it was easy to be a drag racer. Take your hat off, take your shoes off before you enter the shop, whatever you need to do to show as much respect as possible to whoever owns that shop that's getting your hot rod ready. If you ain't doing it, or if you own it, to just respect the process as a whole. A few 12-hour days later, and we got Mo ready to go. You know what I mean? So thanks out there to the mad scientists. You guys know who you are. That old Atchison's racing crew for helping me get my car ready to move, you know? So, Casey, man, it's going to be an eventful day, I believe, man. We got quite a bit to talk about here. But you got anything you got coming up soon before we do that? I know you just mentioned PDRA and getting that old hot rod ready to move in Top Sportsman. What else you got going on, man?
Testing right now, man. Got to get everything lined out. It's ultimately that car's been done for a long time, but it hasn't had a lot of. It doesn't hardly have any passes on it, and it's a learning experience. It's new, a totally new venue that I'm stepping into, and there's once you go over the 1,200-1,300 horsepower range, you're in a whole different realm of, now you can really shake the tires. Now you got to get the car down the track. You got to figure out how to get it down the track. I was blowing flames out of it. That was what was part of my original issue. So I got to get that all figured out. I got some ideas on that. I'm going to be drilling out some things and making things bigger and better and blah, blah, blah. It's a long story. We could talk an entire podcast on it, but at the end of the day, just got to keep on testing, keep on learning, keep on figuring stuff out. And that's what it takes to go fast. So,
yeah, man, that's the name of the game too. I do believe, like I mentioned before, we got some mad scientists out there. If you spend enough time hanging around at the shop, wherever you are, wherever you're fitting in, you really can learn a whole lot, which will give you the ability to start doing things on your own, which is really going to give you that learning curve. So, Casey, man, keep up the good work, dude. Can't wait to hear more about that old Top Sportsman, which I don't even know if you've named the car yet. If you haven't, shame on you. You know who I am. You know the car needs a name ASAP, sir. If you guys can think of a name for that old Chevelle, throw it in the chat. Maybe Casey might consider naming it or catching a name out of there. But let's do some homework real quick, guys, because drag racing season, bracket racing season, more importantly, is underway. Well, we got some flyers we can talk about right now, and I'm gonna start off with one that's gonna be coming in hot. All the way out there at Port Allen, Louisiana, we got the Racers Appreciation Bash that will be going on. I got the wrong flyer up here, I believe. No, I don't. I got the right one. I'm looking at the wrong one on my other screen, but CP's throwing that CP's birthday bash there, April 10th through the 13th of this coming April. 10s every day, guys. I don't care if it's off the top. I don't care if it's off the bottom. 10s every day. Come out, support the race, support the atmosphere. I went last year. It was one heck of a time. I will be going back if you want to meet me on Wednesday down the street out there at the Crawfish Hole. I promise you, you will be able to find me at the Crawfish Hole. How many crawfish that I'll have on my table, well, that is yet to be determined. But I promise you'll be able to find me. At any rate, if you're in the area and you're going to be doing some drag racing, your hot rod's ready to go, come on out there to CP's Racers Appreciation Bash and join in on the fun, the festivities. Maybe turn on a wind light or two. Mass traction. Be out there prepping that track. So show up and get in where you fit in, guys. What else we got going on here as I get lost on my screen? We have another flyer that I can't seem to find right now. But hold on with me, guys. Out there on the coast, look at there, I found it. The Top Bulb 150. Galen Robinson's been doing a great job with this King of the Coast series. They got a top and a bottom bulb series going on there. 25 on the top, off the rip, April 4th through the 6th. Hey, when you get done with that, come on over to the CP Bash. You know what I mean? But have a good time out there, guys. It's a well put together event. Again, 25,000 on top. Got some round money coming into the mix. It's like $50 starting on the third round and going on up. You're making money all the way through that event, man. So again, get in where you fit in. And thanks for everything you do out there on the coast. Galen, keep up the good work. You need anything, just holler at Casey or I. We will feel free. We'll get the message out for you. Last but not least, certainly not least, today the pre-entry begins for the Twin 50s. Out there at St. Louis, it is the third annual, I do believe. I believe we will also see this race for the foreseeable future because it's just one of those events that you don't got no business missing if your hot rod's ready and you're in that neck of the woods. All right, you start off the event with a Falk race cars Thursday warm-up. Let's win a dragster. At the same time, runner-up, let's give you $5,000 and come on down to the 8s and get a little bit of money in that. Then we're going to step into Friday. We're going to turn it up a little bit. $50,000 on the top. $50,000 with $250 round money, okay? Then we're going to do the same thing on Saturday. Not to mention we're going to have a lot of fun while doing it, guys. So, like I said before I got off into the homework, drag racing is in full swing for the bracket side of things. And it's really time to crown some winners, man. Casey, I'm excited. I don't know about you. You've already stood on the lap pedal, so I'm probably just a touch more excited than you. Because I haven't stood on it yet, man. But what do you think, man? Some good racing coming up.
Yeah, see if anybody can knock old Chris Sullivan, and I think Cooper Chun was driving that car that he won last year. So I know he's got a new one ready to go, and I'm sure that the seat's wide open if Cooper wants to fly back in and get it done again. I don't think that hurt Chris's feelings one bit.
Oh, catch this, Casey. We got Brian Whitworth from TB Promotions in here right now. Casey, man, this ain't been live. I think I want to say it went live at maybe 11 Central. 44 entries left. I'm telling you, you sneeze on this one, man. It just started today. All you can see is sellout. I might as well put it on the flyer right now. You know what I mean? They're going to hit refresh on the screen. Next thing you know, the race is already sold out. Okay? Guys,
That's what happens whenever you put on good events. Who would have thought?
Don't drag your feet. Drag your feet, miss this event if you want to. You will be mad at yourself. And then if you do miss the event, well, show up and spectate a little bit. Show a little love out there. You're going to have some fun anyway. We're at the racetrack, for crying out loud. But Brian, man, thanks for stepping in, giving us the word on how much you guys got left. I'm really not shocked. I'm really not. I feel like last year, maybe when we dropped the news that it was live last year, we might have been somewhere around 44 left when we went live too. But
yeah, well, like I said last year, whenever we were talking about promoters in general, those Brian and Tyler TB Promotions crew, they're in the top 3 as far as I'm concerned for promoters right now. They have one of the best series out there, and that shows it. Whenever you can sell an event out, essentially it is sold out right now. They have that 11 entries left. They'll probably be taken up, by the end of the night, sometime tomorrow, whenever people listen to this podcast and hear how scarce they are. I'm sure that they'll be taken up, and there's a reason for that. It's because whenever you put on great events, people want to go. Who would have thought?
Would would have thought, man. And then not to mention the venues that they're going to. So, hey, man, across the board, we got some really good racing coming up. That's just all I got to tell you. We're not even scratching the surface as to what's really going to be happening here pretty soon, with more to come on our flyers. At the beginning of, we try to do them each show. So if you want to get a flyer out there, hit us up over at Going Bracket Racing or on Facebook. Email is goingbracketracing@gmail.com. Casey and I'll take care of you, no question about that. But now let's get to what we really need to get to, Casey, man. This could turn into a bit of a debacle, downward spiral, or we could climb Mount Everest and get elated by victory of reaching the top. Okay. What does it mean for bracket racing is the name of this live streamed event. And we want all of your opinions. All opinions are welcome here. Nobody's going to look at you like you're crazy, because everybody's really moving on just that in the first place, opinion, a thought process of what we feel is happening. IHRA is the subject yet again. Possibly the last time you're going to hear about IHRA on Going Bracket Racing, unless we got some serious news to bring to you. Casey, man, let's get the ball rolling with what we have read, particularly, and I want to use a works cited if you all remember having to do that page when you wrote something for an essay of a Competition Plus article that I read over the weekend. Lot going on. I want to start with the whole acquisition or the purchasing of 7 racetracks. All of you are up to speed with this particular subject by now, but did they buy it? Did they not buy it? Casey, what's your feel on that, man? Let's talk about it.
Well, as far as did they buy it or not buy it, I don't know. And I don't think anybody else does either. The people who do know are the people who actually own it and the people who are actually trying to buy it. But the fact of the matter is, I used to work in some very high-end retail chains for, drafting services and things like that. I used to travel all around the country, and I'm not going to say the names of them, but they are very well-known names. You know them personally because me and you've been friends forever. But the fact of the matter is there's a ton of red tape when you're talking about millions of dollars in acquisitions. And there are certain people who just aren't allowed to say anything regardless. They aren't allowed to say the truth if the truth is there. And there are also certain people that never were in the know that thought they were in the know. So that's kind of a roundabout way of saying that, again, no one knows what's going on except for the person who owns the facility, who specifically owns it, and the person who's trying to purchase it. All the rest is hearsay. If you talk to track managers, maybe they are telling you the truth. Maybe they really do know. I'm not saying that they don't, but I'm saying I've been in situations where the manager does not know because legally they can't. There's a lot of homework to be done when you're talking about acquiring things like that. They're just like if you were to buy a house. If I'm going to go buy George's house, I agree to buy George's house for X amount of dollars. George agrees that he will sell it to me for X amount of dollars. Now I get a home inspection to figure out that, okay, George told me the foundation's good. Is it? Okay, George told me there was a sprinkler system. Is it? Does it work? And then we come to the table, and if something doesn't work or something is this, that, and the other, I can then back out and forfeit whatever down payment I had on that deal. Or George can say, hey, man, I understand that. Okay, you figured this out. It's going to cost 10 grand to fix it. I'll take 10 grand off the price, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of stuff going on. The fact of the matter is that it's kind of irrelevant, whether iTrade buys these things or does not buy these things. The tracks are still operational. I don't think they're trying to buy anything that is not operational. So they're not bringing anything back or they're not closing anything down if they don't buy it. It really does not matter. As far as what everybody who runs at those facilities right now, it's business as usual. It doesn't matter who owns it because the track's staying open either way. It's not like it's trying to get acquired by Amazon or some warehousing facility or something like that, or a housing complex is trying to come in. The point is that either way, what you want to have happen is you want the track to stay open. You don't care who owns it. You just want the track to be open so we can go race.
Yeah, man, I agree with that 100%. And I really and truly, I definitely want to piggyback on your thought of buying a house. You got the title work. You have contingency this or earnest money that. There is a
Right.
huge process when buying a house. And I would expect there to be the same amount of process when purchasing a racetrack. It's a property in the end of things. What if somebody else is a partner in that property? Well, then you got two
Right.
properties or a lease that you're trying to purchase. There's all kinds of things that gets to rear its face in the purchasing of anything. Period. Go buy a
Right.
car. Go buy a car. Okay? Buy a
And
car
whatever.
from an individual and use a bill of sale. Go ahead, Casey.
I was just going to say, and the thing is all that, I saw a comment in here, something about buying, worried about buying it and then it closes or whatever. It's like, okay, that's fine. But realistically, you're not going to stop it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the rest of us think, because ultimately, if something's for sale, again, going back to George's house, if I buy George's house and I want to paint the house bright, lime green, something like you would see on an island, I can do that. George can't stop me. HOA might be able to, but George can't stop me. I can do whatever I want. If I want to throw a bunch of crap out in the yard after I buy it, it's mine. I can do that.
Correct.
So you're not going to stop it. If something's for sale, it's for sale.
Correct.
And
Correct.
the only person who can choose who buys it is the person selling it.
Yeah, man, and
Talk to him.
I feel like I heard a rumor. I don't know. This is all rumor mill, guys, but I feel like I heard Galat's been for sale for a long time. Casey, I don't know if you're close to there. I don't know if you know this stuff, but if it was for sale once, why wouldn't it be for sale again or come off of sale, whatever the case may be? It just seems like you have a buyer that is going to let a racetrack remain a racetrack. Why wouldn't you sell it to that person if you're trying to get out from under it? That's something that I feel like as an owner, I've been trying to sell it. I have a buyer. He's a drag racer. Well, let's get the job done. You know what I mean? And behind that, and kind of to Kenny McNoll's question, he's asking, why did tracks wait a week before announcing they weren't or were not bought? This is a great question. Like, did we have to wait for the brisket to season before we put it on the grill? Did we need to let it come down to a room temperature a quick second? Or did a week later several racers begin to cry about it or whine about it? And I'm trying to be as blunt as possible when I say these things, because I guarantee you somebody heard an earful. Okay?
Right.
But why did it take so long? Number two, why would a sanctioning body the size of IHRA give a message on their Facebook that isn't true, regardless of if the people backed out of the deal? Like, hey, Casey, I want to sell my house and you have contingency money or earnest money on my house, but I changed my mind. I don't want to sell it no more. Well, guess what? I'll give you your earnest money back and we get ready to be canceling some contracts. Yep. I ain't signed nothing yet. You know what I mean? So guess what? I can make that choice, right?
Yep.
But are we not given that as a probability that some of these racetrack owners did? What are your thoughts, Casey?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's at the end of the day, again, there's a lot involved. There's millions of dollars involved. It's a sport that, it's risky. I would say that owning a drag strip is just as risky as opening a brand new restaurant. Everybody knows that a restaurant is the hardest thing that you could possibly ever start from scratch. It's the most likely business to fail in the first year or so. That, drag racing is the same way, because it's purely economically based. It needs, for drag racing to work, it needs Casey and George to have spending money, and everybody else that's in this chat right now. Troy Abercrombie, glad to see him in here, by the way, because what is it over there? It's like 2:30. Troy's not even off work. I don't know what he's doing, screwing around over there. But he says, so far, none of it has meant anything for bracket racing. If anything, I think it's made some folks thankful for stable programs and partnerships at their local NHRA track. And I think that I probably would agree with that. The fact of the matter is that something needs to be solid. Something needs to actually happen. However, what I will say is there's been a lot of hate towards the IHRA as far as they're doing this, they're doing that, they're announcing this, and regardless if people were against them before all these tracks announced, like, oh no, we're not for sale, they were already negative about that. But the thing that I would like to tell everybody is why are you being so negative about this? Because how is this going to affect you negatively if they have a program that rivals, say, NHRA one day? What if they have a great sportsman program like they used to have? Why would you not want that to happen? Why do you want things to fail? Like, for example, no matter who wins the presidency, the other side is always like, I hope they fail. Why? Then we all fail together. Why would you want that? Wouldn't you, like, who cares who it is as long as we can all be better off now than we were before? It doesn't matter. It matters if we are better off. It doesn't matter who made us better off. It matters if we are better off or not.
That is the age-old tale too, Casey. Something that I don't understand myself. It doesn't matter to me because my impact or my ability to change what's actually going to happen is still going to remain zero, no matter what. I don't
Right.
care who the president is. Guess what? I have zero impact. Zero. I don't have enough zeros behind my name to have impact. So sometimes I don't even think about it. That's why we don't like to talk politics on here. We keep it to drag racing, but the thought process behind it is the same in our sport. People feel like, well, this is not good. Yeah, IHRA is doing this, and they're buying all the tracks. What happens if they leave, and then all the tracks get closed? That's a big what
Right.
if, right? That's a huge what if. Understandable thought process. Don't get me wrong. I understand it.
Based on that comment too, if the tracks were for sale, there's a chance they were going to close anyway, because otherwise they wouldn't be for sale if they were just rolling in the dough,
It wouldn't, and right. But one thing that I know for a fact is that there's some drag racers over there. Okay, there's drag racers there, so their passion aligns directly with our passions. Period. I don't
Right.
care what style of racing you do at all. I'm going to expand on that and a little bit more here in just a little bit. But we got to let our marketing partners have a few words to you real quick. Don't go anywhere because this is just getting a little bit spicy. We're going to add a little cayenne pepper to it in a minute. Don't go anywhere. Hit that share, hit that like. Be right back.
When you're in need, don't settle for less. Perform Auto Parts, you've chosen the best. With all the building tools, we take the lead. It's time to upgrade your ride. We've got what you need. Carburetor scales, radiator systems. Perform Auto Parts, we got what you're looking for. Wedge locking bolts, dress up parts, roller rockers, and so much more. At Perform Auto Parts.
BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts are able to provide you with whatever you desire to enhance your drag racing operation. Items like safety belt magnets, nitrous bottle holders, and even quick release delay box mounts are able to be obtained from BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts. Have a look at top selling items such as helmet hooks and steering wheel hooks, which are proven to make it easier to maneuver throughout your race car. You can contact BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts at telephone number 765-729-1177. All right. Welcome back. Going Bracket Racing, the podcast. Thanks for listening. If you're listening on any of our Spotify, wherever you catch your podcast, thank you for listening in. We appreciate you for being part of the Going Bracket Racing community out there on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're at. If you're tuning in on here, thanks for doing so. We can't do it without you guys. We especially appreciate you being part of the sports that all of us love and hold near and dear to our heart. That's bracket racing, drag racing. I don't care what type of racing you do. It could be pedal bike racing. That's how I grew up in the first place. My bike had a wheelie bar and a parachute. I bet you yours didn't. Anyway, thanks for being part of the community, guys. Special shout out to everybody who market with us: Syntex Printing, Ken Jones Performance, TSR Racing Products, Proform Parts, BRG Motorsports, 3D printed parts. Got Team 14 Motorsports. I still need to change your logo. I forgot. My bad. Crew Chief Pro, Driven Racing Oil, 8th Mile Apparel, where you can get your merch, Gearhead Solutions. The list may go on. I don't feel like I forgot anybody. But thank you guys for being a part of the Going Bracket Racing community. If you would like to get your product or your offerings, what you can do in our sport, out to arguably one of the best bracket racing communities in the sport, hit up George Casey over there at goingbracketracing@gmail.com. Facebook, Going Bracket Racing. YouTube, Going Bracket Racing. I'm George. He's Casey. Find us. We will take care of you and give us the best customer service that we can. But guys, hey, thanks for joining in. Big numbers over there on that YouTube side. Love seeing it. Thanks for all you guys are doing on the Facebook side as well, man. But Casey, we got to continue this conversation about the simple fact of racetracks are open, racetracks are being acquired, and some people are a little bit angry about that. I feel like there's probably more happy than angry in the first place. Casey, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, again, it goes back to the fact that ultimately you want the track to stay open first and foremost. Secondarily, I don't really know of anybody who cares who as far as bracket racers are concerned, I don't think they care who sanctions it. They just care that the gates open. And that's first and foremost. So it just, going back to what we were talking about before commercial break, it doesn't matter who owns the track. It doesn't matter who sanctions the track. It matters that we are having races and that the racers get better and better every single year. Again, going back to what we were originally talking about too. Why do you think TB's deal's already about sold out? It's because it's a great deal. They came onto the scene, offered something that nobody had in their area, and it's been selling out ever since. So why would you hate having a potential new person to offer things like we've all heard about in the past that we never got to personally experience?
Right. At the same time, I know everybody hates change. Everybody. To some extent, either you hate it or you're uncomfortable in the very beginning of said change. It is the way it is. Let's change our pillow sheets because we've been drooling at night. That might be uncomfortable. Great. Okay, guys. Let's find a way to figure out, okay, the change is something that I can't control in the first place. Now let's start talking about what is this going to do, okay? You got these tracks that are being acquired. You have a sanctioning body that is getting ready to provide competition to the sanctioning body. I won't name any names. You can fill in the blanks with those 4 letters, those big, huge 4 letters that have been around forever and ages, right, Casey? But eventually we're going to have to say thank you instead of kick rocks. For once, right, we have somebody not necessarily just purchasing a sanctioning body, injecting money into the sport we love. That's the big part. The injection equals interest will begin to swirl because now there's injection. What do you do when the economy's gone bad? You inject money into it. Don't you think that works the same in drag racing, right, Casey? I could be wrong. You tell me. You might know it a little bit better, but injecting money into anything is going to make it better, period.
Well, the number one argument I would have is why would you not want the guy with all the money? He has race cars. I don't know. Graham Light, he used to run Top Fuel in the 80s. It's been a long time since then, I feel like you want someone who is also invested in the sport, not only monetarily, but legitimately invested in the sport. Like that's their hobby as well. And that's what this new guy is. And I just don't understand why there's so much negativity because first of all, we're kind of one of the number one sports that people that aren't like us and aren't like our community and aren't like racers like the rest of us. Most people don't want us around because we're loud and they don't want us around. So you always want somebody who has the money because you know what comes with money? Pull. That's what comes with money. Yep. And if you're a guy that has the ability to potentially purchase 6 or 7 tracks, this is something we should have talked about earlier, George, because it's something I told you a couple weeks ago when everybody was freaking out about the whole deal of, well, what if IHRA goes under and then they own all these tracks? Guess what? You ever heard of Speedway Motorsports? They own more racetracks than anybody, as far as I know. One of them is ZMAX. Another one is Bristol. I think they own Vegas. They own a ton of NASCAR tracks. So if you're so worried about that, why were you never worried about that guy? This guy could be on the same level. And guess what? Anybody who's been or seen any of those facilities, are they not the nicest facilities out there? They are.
It's funny that you bring that up, Casey, because it really does give us a great exit into the next portion of our conversation, being if you read that Competition Plus article, you had the ability to learn about the CEO, the guy who's kind of running the scene right now, who has a background in construction, not just building houses or laying down new roads or whatever you want to call it. The construction of racetracks, which means if it ever came down to it and you didn't want to sell to the new IHRA, there's a good chance they might just build a new facility altogether. Stay with me now, because if that happens, wouldn't the trickle-down effect elevate bracket racing? Isn't that going to equal another track that gets the ability to have what Mid-State Dragway has? 10s and 20s on the weekend that are at a price to where I know I can afford it. I know that some of us on the lower level can afford it a little bit better. Doesn't that lead way into it? So we're all sitting here wondering, what does it mean for bracket racing? There's your answer right there, guys. There's going to continue to be a place that we can go bracket race, period. That's what we're all after in the first place. At least, I hope that's what we're after. Casey, man, take a few minutes to add or subtract from what I just said, man.
Well, I think ultimately also, no organization has actually really put on a bracket race. They've had bracket programs because you're required to have a bracket program to be able to have a national event or something like that. But ultimately, the only bracket race that like NHRA, IHRA, things like that have put on, that's bracket finals and then world finals. That's it. That's what all of them do. WDRA, all of them. They only sanction tracks. They don't have anything to do with the vast majority of what's going on. You know who does? TV promotions. Spring Fling bracket racing series, Great American Bracket Races, King of the Coast, like CP Promotions, all those guys. Those are the people who you care about. They need a track to go to. The sanctioning bodies are what helps keep the tracks open and gives them insurance policies, but those promoters are who you care about. You want to keep them going. You need to support their races. These sanctioning bodies, they don't do anything really with bracket racing. They just allow the track to be open. The track does the bracket races. So you need to go support your local tracks if that's what you care about.
Yeah.
But sportsman drag racing, I guess kind of is bracket racing, but mostly what all these sanctioning bodies do is they do .90, they do class racing, they do comp, they do super stock, super gas, super comp, super street, hot rod, whatever you want to call it, depending on the sanctioning body. The fact of the matter is they've never done anything really for bracket racing other than keep the tracks open, and that matters most. But if you want to worry about bracket racing, support those promoters and support your local track, and then it will all be fine. Because ultimately, it was only a couple years ago. Well, it's been like 3-4 years now. We only had one organization for a very long time, for about like 20 years, 15, 20 years. We only had NHRA, and everybody was still running.
One sanctioning body. That is an excellent point, Casey, and we were all fine with it. Matter of fact, if we go back 3 years, bracket racing was beginning to be at its strongest ever. Okay, we had so much going on in bracket racing that we couldn't figure out who was going to give away the next $1 million. Okay, all right, let alone racing for 50 and 100K. We were talking about $1 million at the local track level. We're going to weekend racing events as opposed to just Saturdays. Those are things that are spoils of a thriving economy of bracket racing. That was good, boy. Somebody write that down. You see what I'm saying, though, right? To where we're all good. We're still there, man. We're all still there. And so what Casey is saying is bravo to the promoters, the folks, the Jet Promotions team that's coming up, the Michael Beard and Stage Light guys that are coming out and doing what they do for our sport. Man, take your hat off to those people. Hand them a beer when you see them. You know what I mean? Straight out of your cooler. Make sure it's ice cold. Don't give them nothing warm. But hand them something, man, and show appreciation. But at the same time, Casey mentioned that World Finals and maybe team finals. Those are held by the sanctioning bodies, except for the people running it are generally the people who work at that track in the first place. So hats off to them people for doing what they love to do for a living. Don't add to the proverbial kick in the stomach. Could have said something else, but don't just kick him in the gut, man. Whenever a new owner's coming to buy the place.
Yeah, why are you going to
Care
complain
who owns
about?
it.
Yeah, why are you going to complain about somebody trying to keep the track open? Why are you going to run them off? Because what if it was getting ready to close and you didn't know that? What if you're pissing this guy off and he says, "Fine, I don't want to do it. I'm not dealing with this. I got a lot of money. I don't need to deal with this." And that's the truth. He doesn't have to. So why do you keep cutting the dude down? Maybe he did some things you don't agree with, or maybe he made some calls as far as announcing things that weren't true yet, and maybe they fell through. But I assure you, a company of that size that knows everybody's going to figure it out, they're not trying to just make stuff up. Like, that doesn't help them at all. It doesn't help them to piss everybody off. It doesn't help them to lie. There's no reason they would do that. Something, regardless if it happens or not, or if it fell through, something was clearly in the works. Otherwise, they never would have announced that, because that does not help them in any way. It does not make anything positive for them to lie. That does not help them in any way.
And then the end of this all, whenever the dotted lines are signed, because nobody knows. All we hear is people saying, "Oh, MIR wasn't for sale. MIR hadn't been purchased." I'm only saying that particular track because I saw that on Facebook myself. I really can't speak to any of the other 7, right? But maybe I missed it. I know for a fact that MIR came out and said, "Hey, we ain't sold. We haven't signed on the dotted line." Nobody's signed on the dotted line yet. But to all those tracks that hasn't, if you don't, hey, fine. That's fine. Keep your track, keep it open, keep it running. We ain't mad at you. We be out there to drag race with you as soon as we can. You know what I mean? But if you have, hey man, thanks for what you've done for us this whole time. Hopefully, maybe since you don't own a track, I bet you got a bracket car sitting in the corner over there. Dust your car off, come out and join us. Don't line up next to me. I'm gonna put you back on the trailer as soon as you got off of it. That's just how it is. All right, but thank you. Instead of, "Oh, you guys suck. Oh, this all sucks."
Yeah. Keep the track open. That's what is the number one. Number one needs to be keep the track open. I don't care who owns it. As long as we're still able to race every weekend, you're not going to hear one complaint from me, because, I say this, I feel like once a month, whenever some sort of topic comes up where it deserves. But I remember whenever we were living in Southern Illinois during the housing crisis and everything shut down, and there was nowhere to race. So,
and if you did want to race, guess how much money you was racing for? Probably $800 to $500.
And you had to go all the way to IRP from St. Louis. Like, I mean, that was the closest place, and they were raced like once a month or whatever. But man, like, you guys don't want to. Most people, this is our number one hobby. This is all of our stuff. And if you don't have a racetrack, where are you going to go?
You're going to go fishing. That's where you're going to go, because that's what happened during that housing crisis. I believe I saw more boats get bought and more race cars get sold. I just wasn't in position to snag up a couple of them race cars and sit them in the corner for when racing
if there's
came back with a vengeance.
If there's no racetracks open by you, race cars aren't worth hardly anything. Like, I remember whenever I want to say there was a track in Salt Lake City that shut down, and you were seeing stuff. If you wanted to go all the way to Utah to buy stuff, you could get stuff for pennies on the dollar, because there was nowhere around there to go. The closest place they could go was either they could drive all the way to Bandimere at the time, which now isn't there anymore, or you could drive all the way to Las Vegas, where, as far as I know, I don't know that they really race very much, other than a few divisionals, the fling, and maybe a couple bracket races, but I don't think they race very much out there. So that's how stuff goes. So your value drops immensely as soon as your local track closes as well.
Yeah. I know we got a lot of comments in the chat, so I'm going to read through a couple of those too as we near the end of yet another episode of Going Bracket Racing. Actually, one that I would consider, it's a positive, man. And that's the main point that I feel like we're trying to get across, even if it comes across swiftly and a little bit forceful. it's going to be a positive. Well, what are they going to do for bracket racing? All we've seen them do is raise the purse at the World Finals for IHRA. Well, that's a start. Okay,
So you
that's a
don't want
start.
that?
Let's take it. Okay, let's take it in stride. I hope that the one thing this man, Nova fan, this is my opinion. Period. I never hear anything negative out of WDRA. If those boys, though, that is what I consider and what they consider, I believe, the bracket racers sanctioning body. Okay, I try to take a few notes from them guys, and then they'll at least you'll have at least the understanding of what bracket racers are looking for: a place to race, some glue on the track, maybe a little bit of consistency, some chicken wings in the concession stands. That's about it. Of course, I said chicken wings, but still, you know what I mean? A good burger, whatever the case it might be. That's what we're looking for. I seen somebody in here say, looking forward to IHRA being good or doing a good job, and it's Lawrence Curry. Just let action show. I'm with you, Lawrence, man. Enough of the posting on social media. We know that we got to gain interest in what's going on and keep everybody in the know. It's time to let actions speak louder than words. That's enough to sum it up right there. Joe says he was enjoying the double O memes out there. I guess you guys know what I'm talking about. Double O memes. He's been laughing at that. I hadn't seen not a one, but I'll go check it out after the show. Jim Davis. And then Lance Barrella, we need a track in Houston. We're so, he says, we're screwed down here. Got to travel 2 to 4 hours to bracket race. Lance, I bet I've seen you up here at XRP a few times, hadn't I? You know what I mean? Oh, but Tom Worthington on your side has mentioned a few times, why are we not buying tracks that are sitting rotten? I'd have to imagine that their eyes are on the facilities in the areas. Here's the kicker now. In the areas that have a drag racing scene, it's something that could be not necessarily lucrative, but you can fill the stands.
Well, you're not gonna.
That makes sense.
Well, it would be, in my mind, it would kind of be pretty dumb if you're just now getting into doing all this. Why would you buy something that you don't know if it works or not, whenever you could buy something that's already operational and successful? That's easier.
You don't just inject money into things to watch it
Yeah,
disappear.
because that's a gamble. Like, for example, Memphis, because we all saw that. Everybody's talking about Memphis. The problem is with Memphis is gone, which means presumably the race cars are mostly gone. Most of them probably would be. I know there are some still there, but most of them are gone now. Probably 75% of their local people are gone. So why try to rebuild something when you can purchase something that is already working, and then you don't have to gamble? And you can gamble later whenever you have had success, but you don't want to start off in the situation right now. You're definitely not going to start off gambling with what's already happened and what's already being talked about. That's 100% for sure. Reggie Litch over here in the chat says, I used to live in Arkansas. We're spoiled here, meaning North Carolina. He's one of my buddies out here. You'll never hear me complain about a race facility here in North Carolina. I don't get complaining about anybody trying to support our sport in these times. 100% correct on that. Ultimately, that goes along with what I was saying earlier. Ultimately, the only people that like us are people like us. Most people don't like us and would prefer that our loud cars don't come around anymore. So you always want somebody who is interested in the sport and has a lot of money to show interest in physically buying the properties.
Correct. Here's one out of Randy Johnson. He says Salt Lake City can go to an 8th mile newly NHRA sanctioned track in Idaho Falls. Randy, how far is Idaho Falls from where you're at? You know what I mean? I know the West could use a little bit of love out there as far as racetracks go. That's one thing I've seen. Seen Tom Grooms on here says, here's a better question. Why buy any tracks at all?
Why not?
Well, why not is one, I own a sanctioning body, two, that I'm trying to get fuel cars interested in to some degree. Funny car, be it funny cars, be it the no prep scene. I've seen that mentioned. Be it having concerts at the venues when I have racing, sort of like what bracket racers do. I think this phrase may have come from IHRA. I'm not 100% sure here, but having a social gathering and then a race breaks out. That's what is that's the goal. If you watch our promoters, man, Lurie's Motorsports put on a big steak dinner every time the racers come out. TB Promotions got a free keg down the way. CP Promotions got dinners over here. Got a practice tree race. Got multiple shootouts. Got all kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and here's kind of a same style question. I don't mean this bad or anything. I'm just saying there are plenty of people have, say, a 2020 American Dragster. Why do they think they need a 2024 American Dragster? Same thing. Like it's the exact same thing. You don't need it, but you have money and you want it. So what's the difference? The fact of the matter is someone who owns it wants to keep it going. That's what you want. You want somebody that has money to improve the facilities. This guy presumably does. For example, I know one of the tracks that was being talked about is Darlington. Dude, Darlington's pit area has potholes everywhere. I mean, it would be great if somebody had a lot of money and could come in and fix that, because Darlington is a great place. And that's the only issue is the pit area, is the potholes and whatnot. But if you fix that, dude, that place is a national event level facility immediately. As soon as you fix the pits, and maybe some of the shutdown might be a little bit rough, but you could run quarter mile. That place is massive and it's historical, and the whole town loves that place. But the track prep is probably I think the track prep at Darlington is probably the best track prep in the entire country, possibly, as far as especially just like for a normal event and for a test and tune and things like that. They know what they're doing down there. So if they could just have someone inject a little bit of money in that facility, that's overnight, a top tier facility.
Instantly. Not again, going back to the CEO being in construction. This is easy work for him. The track's already there. Don't put it past the IHRA to build a couple of brand new facilities. I would love to see a few out there in the West. I'm not kidding, just for the sake of the West. But definitely, man. And I've kind of been reading through the YouTube chat, just trying the best I can to get through some of these comments here. Let's see. I think I saw one out of Brandon Justice here, basically saying the beautiful fact of bracket racing is there are multiple ways to approach it. Hometown guys that leave his track once a year for bracket finals, all the way to big money guys. Sanctioning doesn't matter. It really doesn't, because bracket racing is sanctioned by the promoter, for lack of better terms. Yeah, the promoter doesn't give you a insurance product. That's right. About the difference right there.
Correct. The basically what these sanctioning bodies are more than anything is their number one purpose is the insurance plan, because what they do is they get a whole bunch of tracks together, get an insurance policy together. So now we can all stay open, all stay insured whenever some idiot sues the racetrack because for some reason they didn't know that racing was dangerous. And that's pretty much their number one purpose. There are other things, but that's number one.
Yeah.
That's what Wally Parks figured out way back in the day. That was what he did. That's what NHRA was essentially an insurance policy.
Right.
So I know WDRA is doing other things, putting things together as a big bulk buy, like for glue and getting glue cheaper. And, that's a very smart thing that they did. When we had John O'Neill on here, that was one of the first things we talked about was we're like, man, why don't they just say, we'll buy from only you if you sell us this stuff at this price to all these people, and we will only buy from you. I can't believe nobody thought of that before. That's the first thing I would have done.
Right.
Because you could throw your weight around. Once you have all these people, you can throw your weight around, because now you're not buying thousands, you're buying hundreds of thousands. Now they got to care about you.
Yeah, man. Again, guys, I won't say we've been a broken record. Yeah, you probably heard some of this stuff for the first time right here on Going Bracket Racing, as we've got a pretty good thought process that we use to go into a lot of this stuff. But again, you may not hear us continue to bring up IHRA and what it means for bracket racing and how it's going to be good and how it's going to be bad, because it's time to talk about bracket racing, the sport that will continue in one way, shape, or form. like what Brandon Justice is saying, we have a market for just about any type of bracket racer. So I just feel like this is going to be positive, and I believe it across the board. Make it fun. We got another big sanctioning body that's putting on Top Fuel, Pro Mod, Pro Stock bikes, or Top Fuel Harleys, whatever they decide to do. Bring it. That's all I got. Bring young Jeezy to a concert and let's go watch him while we go watch some drag racing. I don't know. That's just the first. I think you and I were talking about that Saturday or Sunday or something, Casey. And young Jeezy just popped in my head as an artist to have come and give us a concert or something. But guys, man, Casey, what you have in closing, man?
I don't know, man. Just I guess hopefully everybody gets to go racing sometime soon. Usually March time, end of March is usually about everybody's first race. Hopefully everything goes well for you out there at Texas Motorplex. I know the person putting it on is going to do a great job over there too. FTR events on Motor Mania next week at Galat. And then, of course, we got the Spring Fling in Vegas the week after that. And again, I always talk about we see a breakout star at the Spring Fling Vegas every single year. I'm very interested to see who that person is this year.
Man, who is it? Hey, Gary, sorry I didn't get a chance to get to your comment sooner, man. Or ma'am, I'm not sure, but sorry about that. I just didn't see it. They're basically saying WDRA only focuses on bracket racing. They have put together a world finals that attracts bracket racers to our bracket points series. I think I have agreement with that. I do. And again, my hope would say that IHRA will tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, I know we got this merger going on.
That's right.
I know we got this merger going on, guys, but here's a little bit. We need to know what you guys done for the bracket racer so that we can continue on with our program too. If we're gonna merge, we sharing all information. That's what merge means. We can test off one another if we have to. So hopefully that happens, Jerry. And that would be pretty dope, man. So on behalf of GBR and the GBR community, everybody who follows us, watches, likes, shares, thank you for all of that. Continue to like and share. Continue to join us on these live streams, either via Facebook, YouTube, or if you're listening on the roadways. Drive safe while you're listening to us, guys. And
hit the subscribe button. Stop watching and not hitting the subscribe button.
Come on, hit it, man. Come on, hit that subscribe button. We can see that 90% of our listeners are not subscribers. All right, we can see that. I'm just gonna call it out. Sorry, I called the aired our dirty laundry out, but it is what it is. All right, guys. We will see you. We will see you all next Tuesday, hopefully with some more excitement. But bracket racing is in full swing. Have fun. Turn on some wind lights. Peace out.